It's Elizabeth and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys a story how I was left by my friend for the popular crowd. And the story, it's pretty sad, but looking back, it taught me a great lesson about real friends and friendship. Anyways, before I start, I just want to say, I hope you are all having a great start to your school year. For me, I started school back on August 28th. And I hope everyone who started is having fun, and if you didn't start yet, consider yourself lucky. But anyways, guys, last year I was enrolled in a class. It was called AVID, and it was supposed to help me be prepared for high school, college, any other classes, you know? And in that class, I met this girl. Let's call her Kiki. And me and Kiki, we started talking one day, and in that class, there weren't assigned seats, because it was the beginning of the year. So you could basically sit wherever you want, and we sat next to each other. Now, there were technically not assigned seats, but at the same time, there were. Everyone knew where their spot was, even though it technically wasn't their spot. But anyways, her spot was next to me, and we both sat in the front. Me and Kiki I thought we were starting to become close. We had a lot of classes together, and she was also in my video making class, the school broadcasting news. And we bonded in that class. We had a lot of fun together. We had code names for people. We talked about, I feel like I could talk about anything with her, and she felt the same way. And we were just really having a great time. And that's when a girl, let's call her Carol. That's when Carol came along. Now, Carol, I'm not going to say she was popular, but she was at the same time. She's like a popular wannabe, and you don't want to be a wannabe. She wanted to be popular so bad, she would just try too hard. It's like that one song when you try your best, but you don't succeed, because she was trying her best to be popular, and she didn't succeed, but at the same time, she kind of did. What she would do, she would find people to call her friends, and she would boss them around and just make them her minions. They would have outfits they would wear. It was just really weird. And I stayed far away from that group because I personally did not care for Carol because she was not nice. But I was always nice to her. And I can be friendly with people without being their friend. And that's how I treated Carol. But then one day, Carol started talking to Kiki. And they started to have a friendship going on. And not right away, but Kiki kind of started to drift away from me. And one day I walked into Avid and she wasn't sitting next to me, and she said she was sitting next to Carol. And I was really hurt because Carol had been mean to me before. She was actually really mean to me. And the fact that Kiki, who I thought was my good friend, was leaving me for Carol, basically the bully, that really hurt my feelings because I thought Kiki thought more of me than that. But at the time, me and Kiki would still talk. While she was talking to Carol, she would just favor Carol over me. For example, one day we were going to meet up at the library at lunch, and I was waiting for her, and I saw her walking towards me, and then I saw Carol stop her, and they talked, and they ended up talking for the rest of lunch, and Kiki never came to the library like she told me to. And basically, that's what happened every lunch from that day forward. Carol would come up to us whenever she would see us talking, and she would just start talking to Kiki, and she would act like I wasn't there. But then one day that all stopped, and instead of Carol coming over to us, Kiki went over to Carol. And that's when Kiki and I started to drift apart. Her leaving me for Carol thing went on for about 2 months, and at that point, Kiki was starting to give me a little bit of the cold shoulder, and I had not done anything to her. So one day after school, I texted her, and I was like, "Hey, we need to talk. Can I call you?" And I called her. I told her what's happening. I asked if anything's wrong, how she's been distancing me, and I felt like she was acting that she was mad at me, and I didn't recall doing anything that would hurt her feelings. And she was like, "Oh no, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry you've been feeling that way." And basically, after that phone call, long story short, I thought everything was going to go back to normal. Boy, was I wrong. Now, let's go from Avid to the video class. In the video class, basically, they would give us commercials, for example, like top 5 songs of the week, stuff like that. We would have a list of commercials to do in that class, and we had the whole trimester to do it, and we would get a grade based off if we did our commercials and how good they were. So basically, if you finished your commercials before the end of the trimester, you could just do whatever you want. And I always finished my commercials early because I always got an A in that class. That class was really easy and fun for me. And Kiki, she finished hers a little later than mine, but she would just keep her headphones on when she was on the computer instead of talking to me. And she just wouldn't talk to me in that class anymore. She went from ghosting me when Carol was around, from ghosting me to even when Carol wasn't around. And toward the end of that time, then when the end of the trimester was coming up, late February, kids were going to be kicked out of the video class. The reason being that because there was some kids last year who were in that class a trimester, and you only got 3 trimesters in that class. So that's why at the end of the second trimester, 4 kids were getting kicked out. Now, Kiki was not one of them, but she wanted to be out of that class. Instead, she wanted to move to Spanish so she could be with Carol. And how did I know, you ask? Well, she announced to the whole class once. She walked in from talking to the teacher. She was like, I just wanted to say that I liked being in this class, but I'm going to be moving into Spanish. And I knew she wanted to be in it with Carol because that next day in Avid, Carol was saying, "I'm so happy you're going to be in Spanish with me." And Kiki was like, "I am too." And at that moment, I felt so betrayed because she was one of the only friends I had in that video class. And I was so upset. She first left me for the bully, and she would ghost me for no reason. And then she would leave me for the class with the popular girl, your new friend, the one who bullies me. Like, that's really, really low. And ever since she got switched out of video production into Spanish, her and Carol got really close at the moment. In Avid, Carol would always yell to Kiki, "Hey Kiki, I'm so excited to have you come over for the sleepover party." And there were even times where Carol would pass out invitations and she wouldn't give one to me. Not that I wanted to go to her party, but she would purposely exclude me. This went on for 2 months. And then here comes June. Now, after school got out, some things apparently started to happen between Carol and Kiki. So, Carol on social media posted something that said, quote unquote, "I am no longer friends with Kiki. I'm sorry to break this tragic news to you all." Then she posted a quote about loyalty, which I thought was pretty weird. And basically, she ended her friendship with Kiki. Now, I don't know if Kiki is going to try coming back to me after this fallout with Carol. So far, I haven't seen her this school year, but who knows? Maybe we'll cross paths again one day. But one thing I know for sure is I'm not going to let her come close to me again, because I don't want someone in my inner circle of friends who I know isn't going to be loyal to me. So yeah, that is today's story on how I was left for the popular crowd. I hope you all enjoyed and got a good lesson about this video about friendship and who your true friends are. Because real friends are hard to find, but it's better to have one real friend than 10 fake friends.